Right, here we are. Hello, friends and strangers. Welcome to Rendezvous with Jamie McGlue. Uh, this is my podcast I've decided to start. Um, talk about why in a moment. But yeah, so welcome. This is it's like 2 o'clock almost on the 29th of April. So I think I'm going to release this on the 1st of May, uh, Baltana. So this will be a third of the way through the year. Have you been keeping count? Is it going fast? Is it going slow? Is it not going at all? Maybe it's just one moment and time's an illusion and all that. Uh, and I believe it's the beginning of summer in the traditional way of measuring it in Ireland anyway. But yeah, so here it is. Um, so I propose that I'm gonna just hang out and talk and think about stuff and make stupid jokes and talk to myself, because I never do that normally. I don't know about you, but I'm not into that. Like talking to myself, say inside my head, internal dialogues. Nah, I probably spend like 1% of my time doing that. Like the average, well adjusted, uh, thought addicted slave to the brain. Um, but yeah, talk to myself, talk to other people, believe it or not. Oh my God, other people. Might talk to Claire, my guitar. What do you think, Claire? G. No. Gee whiz. Interesting perspective. Oh yeah, here's some intro music. Okay. Intro music. I apologize in advance for uh, uh, the any likely um, stuff ups of audio, like being too quiet or too loud. Um, yeah, work in progress, learning by doing. All right, theme song. It's a rendezvous, rendezvous. Ah, would it be wrong to tell you the news that it's not deja vu and it's not you, it's not me, it's just how it's meant to be. It's a rendezvous. Very nice, Claire. So, rendezvous, it rhymes. Rendezvous with Jamie McGlue, right? Shout out to Prashan making some random joke involving that phrase 10 years ago or something. Um, but yeah, it's a meeting. If you honor me with your attention and you want to tune in to whatever is going on in my head, just various things, uh, then yeah, we're having a meeting, are we not? So um, we can be together. Although I'm here right now, but I'm kind of already dead, like this me, by the time you're watching it, right? So, like, it's me in the future, right? Or if you like watch me and you're putting your consciousness into the picture, right? You're not in your head, right? You're the consciousness. So you're looking at me and I am you. Oh God, we're getting too deep too quick. Because you're looking at my beautiful head with my well-brushed hair is filling your mind. And so you are bringing me to life with your consciousness. So maybe I am alive still. What do you think? Okay. interesting perspective. Yeah, I agree with you, sort of. So anyway, so I thought I might talk about like with this podcast, I kind of just I'm going to talk in general. Sometimes I have conversations with people. I'm like, oh, that's such an interesting conversation. It would be cool to be able to share that with more people, or like I think we like figured something out, or we really nailed something the way we talked about it, or just showing how you learn and or whatever, or just funny jokes and stuff. But but also like investigating little topics. So I thought uh, I'm starting this, and I was a bit self-conscious. Like, do I really want millions uh, of ghosts watching me, and then maybe like 12 people also, um, and so like, oh, do I want to do this? But yeah, why not? Which brings me to number one reason to just start something. Maybe you have something I'm sure you have something. Well, am I? No. But maybe you have something where you're thinking of like, oh, that would be cool. My life, that would be fun. I would enjoy that life. If that was a dream, I went to bed and I had the dream of doing this thing. I'm a farmer, right? Or I have some company which does this thing. Or I do the same job I do now, except instead of being an employee, I have my own outfit. I'm the boss. Or whatever, you're in love, or whatever it is. You talk to the girl next door. Uh, if it would be fun as a dream, you know, but then often it seems people don't try to do these things. We don't, we have blocks of various kinds. But so yeah, I thought we might talk about just doing things and why to start something new, and the kind of forces in favor of it and then also against it, like what our head says. Like, don't do it. Why not? Think about it. Well, yeah, like what specifically? Well, I mean, what if everyone hates it? What if you hate it? True. Well, I guess I would just accept it and have learned a lot from trying. And then I could use that as a feedback loop to do more good things and get better and better. And the mind's like, yeah, but Netflix, it's waiting for you. There's so many shows to watch still, we've got business to attend to. But yeah, so, yeah, why not, right? That's the first reason. Just why not? I mean, we're all going to be, spoiler alert, we're all going to be dead pretty soon. Not because not necessarily because World War III is coming. Hopefully not. If wise heads prevail and people, can just step back, which I have faith, why not? That we will. Creates a good vibe. Everything's connected. Probably has some small impact. Like if everyone kind of has a more calm perspective, probably, I would imagine, help gravitate peace. Anyway, but coming back a few tangents, it's where were we? Not that we're gonna die like because of some looming catastrophe that's sneaking up behind you, ready to gobble you up. But just we don't live that long. Like 100 years, passes fairly quick. So there you go. So, but it's not doom and gloom. I think that's a very uplifting thing. It's like, oh, every moment is more precious. If gold was everywhere, it wouldn't have any. Well, it would have some value, but it'd be far less valuable. So supply and demand, right? There's lower supply, so it increases demand. There's a finite supply of time, and this makes it precious. And I think that heightens our emotions. So if you were like, I want to live forever, then you wouldn't have the same emotional connection. You'd be like, oh, imagine if I could live forever without emotional connection. And then you'd want to be mortal maybe and just be, just do it for 100 years and have a, deep existential dread. um, but yeah, so why not? Like just do things, and then you never know. Like if you were to die today, uh, how are your affairs looking? And and uh, if you were to live today, I'll stop being so morbid talking about death. But yeah, so just doing things and starting your projects, right? So if you are watching this on YouTube, let me know in the comments below. Uh, what do you think? In the words of Russell Brand. Uh, that's only what I think. I should steal his phrases. Then I'll have 5.5 million subscribers in no time. So get after it. Yeah, why not? Now, what else is there? Why do something? I think uh, part of it is the world has a lot of, I think there's an ethical reason too, like the world has so many problems and so there's so much suffering, and you watch a really powerful documentary and it briefly reminds you that, oh my God, this is so important. I need to do something about this. And then you forget pretty quick. Like, when I'm sick, then the first day when I'm healthy again, I'm like, oh my God, health is so good, you know? Or you've drunk too much beer and you're hungover and you drink water and you remember how good water is. Uh, you know, water. Yeah, okay, I won't do it in every accent I can think of. Um, so uh, the world has a lot of problems, and a lot of them are snowball effects of, corporations and big bureaucracies, armed bureaucracies, as Graham Hancock would say, with a bunch of, networks of officers with people with various purposes and roles, all interconnected in a big snowball flow of history, and often individual conscience gets diluted. There's a diminishment of responsibility where people feel like, well, I could just risk the financial well-being of my family and take a stand against this unethical thing, which is very profitable, for example. But Tony's not going to do that. Tony's just going to he's going to have his speedboat with his missus, and then she's going to be like, oh, Tony, you're my hero. I love this boat. My wife's going to be like, where's my boat? I'm like, yeah, I was trying to save the planet. She'll be like, yeah, well, let me know when you finish the job, So I think, but seriously, like people trying to put food on the table and have a future. I think a lot of people and even politicians, they think, well, if I try to bite off more than I can chew, my head's going to fall off. Like, oh no, sorry, microphone. It's going to be chaos, right? So they think, all right, I will leave 20% of things just off the table. I won't even acknowledge it. I just won't mention it. Or I will say, it's not really my focus. And I work on the other things I can do, So you try to be a good influence in your family, in the business, try to do many things. But there's that minority of things that people, whether it be politicians or like people in a business or people, whatever in general, that tends to be the most important stuff. It's like the Pareto principle, the 20% of 20% of people make 80% of the money, or 20% of the bands have 80% of the hits, 20% of the statistics about 20% and 80% provide 80% of the insight. That one wasn't one of these. Right? This was one of the 80%. Yeah. So there are. I think there's a lot of problems in the world. Yeah, there's malevolence. All that's another story. Does evil exists in one sense, but I think evil doesn't exist in another sense. So, but we could get into that later. Ask me again. Ask me in the comments. Um, but uh, but I think for the most part, our suffering comes from uh, people just pursuing their self-interest, but because we are little babies, little bubs floating in space on this spherical spaceship hurtling a million miles an hour through the infinite abyss, uh, we misinterpret what is actually in our interest. And so we don't, for example, realize we're all connected, and that if I, serve me and at your expense, I'm actually not serving me because I'm hurting me because we're connected. It's like, oh, look at that big branch in my way. I'm gonna chop that branch off. Yeah, it's just me and the sun. Oh yeah, baby, soaking up that uh, photosynthean goodness. And then, oh wait a minute. Oh my god, oh my. We're one tree. I just chopped off my own arm because I couldn't see the tree for the branch. Uh, and yeah, I think that's pretty literal ish uh, for how it is. And so people, I think it's important to have empathy and realize I don't think people ever do things if they don't think it's good. They always think by their definitions it's good, right? So even if it's, I'm going to rob the world, oh, I'm going to collapse the financial system and make a bunch of money, uh, whatever, uh, then they think that's a good idea, or they wouldn't do it. They're thinking, this is really good for my family, my friends, my social circles, maybe the people who I'm hurting, if someone's defrauding people or whatever it is, they're thinking, these people don't really matter, right? So in their minds, they think, no, what I'm doing is the best thing. This is what anyone who was smart would do in my shoes, you know? Um, so even people at the limit, people who are aiming down and kind of just trying to cause chaos and powered by resentment and just a loathing of being itself, and just trying to do terrible things, like school shooters or something, they they're motivated to do it. That doing that seems to them like progress from their present moment. Oh, I would rather be in that moment, yeah, where I've done this terrible stuff. Um, so it's expressing this kind of pain and destruction and negativity, but by definition, the fact that they did it means they thought it was a good idea, it seems to me. So I think if we can communicate better, then we can kind of avoid a lot of problems and have a lot more win-wins where we're like, hey man, I don't think you're terrible. I totally disagree with you, and I think you're causing some big problems. But you're my brother, you're my sister. We're all in this together, I messed up too, Uh, you know, like I hit the microphone before, We all make errors, Um, but and bring it back. Whoa, laddie, whoa, bring it in. I think in the face of all the problems and after all the COVID lockdown madness, and then there's like war, well, war in Yemen has been going on for a long time, but recently more war, right? Um, uh, I guess some people are more relaxing because some restrictions have been, freedoms have been returned, so to speak. But I think, yeah, under the surface, there's a lot of tension. A lot of tension. It's getting hot. Planet Earth. Um, and yeah, I think it's kind of chickens coming home to roost. Is that the term? Uh, roosters coming home to chick. Hmm. Um, in that we're seeing the consequences of a lack of individual virtue, um, and a lack of communication. So, and I guess ultimately it's a lack of consciousness. I don't think there's any deeper way to say the meta crisis. Like Aubrey Marcus, who's got a great podcast I really enjoy, seems to have said a few times, been like asking people, what do you think's the meta crisis we're in? Like there's all these different crises. What's the big daddy of them? And yeah, I think it's the deepest thing is you can get to, I think, is consciousness. I think that's what everything is. The universe is experiencing itself inside out. The whole universe is alive. What is consciousness? Okay. The space around, behind, and within thoughts and everything. So like, what does a fish know of water? What does a fish know of the waters in which it swims? Fish is like, what's water? What do you mean? There's a rock, there's some phytoplankton, there's some light or whatever. There's these ripple things, yeah, but what do you mean about water? Because it's ever present. So consciousness is, the palette upon which everything's painted. But anyway, I guess. So it's a crisis of consciousness where we're not aware of many things, and we could be having a lot more fun, I think. But we are becoming, luckily, in a way, the silver lining or gold lining to all these troubles of, existential threat level crises caused by our lack of consciousness, is that they're waking us up. You go, whoa, whoa, pain response, what, and threat and fear. Uh-oh. Oh, there's only 60 harvests left in the US farmland because of the industrial chemical, pesticide, petroleum-based agriculture system, monoculture, having one crop, 60 harvests left. Oh, and these things. So, and in your own life also, say in my own life, I notice, say if I'm not feeling good for some reason, eventually I can ignore it, but eventually I'm going to have to pay attention and go, okay, what is this? Why is it here? Where did it come from? And it's going to become my teacher. I'm going to trace it back, and it's going to show me exactly where I was out of alignment with peace and balance. And then, I will be grateful for this. The curse is a blessing disguised as a curse, right? Teaches you, and you will remember that lesson, well, more than if someone had just told you, hey, here's a principle. Cool. But if you've suffered through a story of learning, then I think, it brands itself. It's got great branding. Yeah. So, doing my best to avoid saying yeah, and yeah. So, the crisis of consciousness, lack of individual consciousness. We do things, and we don't always do the right thing, but almost always it's just that, we don't know what we're doing. We're not trying to cause problems, but we do. And I think, say, by taking positive action in your life in small ways, everything's connected, and the butterfly effect, like 7 billion butterflies, there's a lot of butterfly effects, and 8 billion. So yeah, just doing small things like, you smile at a stranger, and then 3 hours and 12 minutes later, they're at a bus stop and someone's pushing in front of them, but they've got a bit more faith in human nature because you smiled at them earlier, and so they let it go. And maybe the person who pushed in notices, that person had no response. That's interesting. Maybe they just think, I'm a jerk, aren't I? They're like, whatever, who knows, some subtle reaction. And then they talk to their sister the next day and they're different to how they would otherwise be. There's all these micro little changes. So, you know, um, I'm starting a podcast. Just why not? Like, makes me feel good. I think communication's good. If people want to listen, then great. Amazing. Uh, we can have conversations, and I can learn, and other people can learn, and we can laugh and whatever, cry. You know, uh, vomit maybe. We'll see how we go. See, what kind of territory we enter. But and or maybe you start painting, or I don't know, whatever. What else? Little projects or little incremental changes in your own life. And I think a lot of people in the modern world, we can feel like we're not really living because we're too static. We're not. There's a great line like T.S. Eliot, the love song of was it J. Arthur Prufrock, something like that, and it's "Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions, which a minute will reverse." But that line, "Do I dare disturb the universe?" Boop. Oh, maybe I'll just leave it. It looks like it's doing okay without me. I'll just chill here. Um, but yeah, why not? Uh, if all the people who have dreams but have for some reason or other been holding back, maybe um, if we all started just testing it out, even if we fail, all right, no worries, but at least you're trying. That's cool. Um, Even if we made no changes in the outside world, just the psychological change of everyone working on something meaningful, there'd probably be peace overnight. Uh, Maybe 3 days until we got bored. And we're like, let's start fighting again. Why don't we do things that we would like to do? Um, Make your work on dreams. I guess one, of course, is laziness, and uh, we're victims of our own comfort. Like, I believe there's something like a primary drive of animals, I believe, I'm told, is energy conservation. So get food, reproduce, and conserve energy. Don't, um, if you can go get the food by spending half as much energy, then do that, because you don't know when an apocalyptic winter's coming and 99% of the gene pool gets wiped out, 1% survives, and because it has some sort of adaptive advantage, and then it floods the gene pool and it repopulates, and then 10,000 years later, again, there's some crazy thing goes down and 10% survive and then become the whole gene pool. So nature is extremely efficient. And I suppose it's one of those cool things where, why is that? Oh, well, if you have all these cataclysmic extinction events constantly, whether it's some tigers, decided your face looks a lot like supper, or it's Atlantis is getting pimp slapped by a comet um, and sunk beneath the waves. The for sure, like death is a constant presence in life, and so beings, and I guess even institutions maybe, but let's say beings who or organisms who didn't conserve energy, they didn't survive as much. So it's just built in, like uh, people who, um, yeah, beings can. There's this instinct to do this. With us, we have such a comfortable lifestyle because of modern industrial civilization that I think, or even like this, the welfare state and things. There's benefits to these things, but I think a lot of it, there's a fair argument to be made that it's a bit of a poisoned chalice, and there's a lot of people where um, they might get a check, and they have the money, and then they say, well, if I work more, I won't get my check. So okay, oh, I'll work a little bit, and I'll do this, get the check, or just not work at all, or whatever. Um, that deep down they're not earning their existence, and so it's kind of hurting them in terms of their self-esteem or self-perception, uh, and many other and of course, but again, there are you know um, definitely some struggling mother somewhere who needs cash. That's all good, um, to support them. But tangents ahoy, so many. Will we get back? Oh yes, I never miss my man. So, well, I think let's find out. Uh, so we were saying welfare state, free money, uh, doing things, making progress in your life. Oh yes, there we go. See, life is so comfortable, and so if we were on like barely getting by, we would have a lot more motivation to get our lives together, to get our shit together. Uh, but like, oh, it's all right. I'm comfortable enough. And we have many things which can increase the comfort, like smartphones, dopamine flooding, or drugs, or alcohol, which is a drug, of course, but or whatever it is, watching movies, and with so many things that can give us like little pleasure buttons. So when there's some pain, going, hey asshole, shouldn't you be taking advantage of that opportunity, or shouldn't you kind of be closing down that threat? It's like pleasure button, uh, and ignore. So, um, so this is allegedly this is one of the reasons I was saying is it for why we don't do things. How so? You tell me. Uh, so right, yeah. So we don't need to be exceptional, and we can conserve energy and just take the path of least resistance. And that's kind of a natural thing to do. Um, so, but the problem is, it you'll be unhappy if you don't if you're not happy with what you're doing most of the time. If you're not happy with your work, and if you are, then cool. Some people have simple jobs, quote unquote, you know, bad jobs, but they like it. Yeah, cool. It's good for me. Okay, perfect. You're winning. But so this is one thing. All right, what else? I think fear of judgment. Again, we've evolved to care about the group. We are social beings. We work together. We would be just totally unable to survive if we didn't have networks using speech, communication to organize together. And so there's an intense fear of abandonment and rejection and ostracization and judgment because, well, I mean, you don't want to look stupid, even for yourself, your own self-identity. Like, that's not me. How dare you try to trick me into thinking, I'm different to my self-image. But also in the old days, when millions of years, our ancestors evolving, a solitary human was a dead human, as they say. So part of that is not wanting to step outside of the mold, which I guess is part of the hero archetype, is someone who's willing to be different for the collective well-being, but they take a risk in doing that. So, and I suppose not everyone wants to do that, but I think we can all be heroes in our own ways, in It doesn't all have to be big, noticeable things. It could be being very honest with your partner in a moment. Um, and you might want to take an easy road, but you go, I think I need to be honest here. That's a heroic thing, Or uh, even someone who's feeling terrible, just utterly depressed, having a really bad time, and they see, some kid who's looking gloomy, and they find the spirit in themselves to have a little smile at the kid. That could, kids, my God, like that could have so many. Think about the butterfly effect of that kid's life. You really don't know. It might not lead to much, or it could lead to a cascade of positive things. And so that would be a very heroic action in my mind, pulling yourself above your own suffering to help others. Which apparently is one of the best ways to cure depression, is stop trying to fix yourself, fix other people, help them. Not like they're broken or something, but, oh, I'm not happy. Okay, but trying to make yourself happy, sometimes it works. Sometimes, oh, this isn't working. All right, what about all these other people who I kind of, because sometimes you can get selfish when you're depressed because you're in so much pain. Of course, the humans who didn't focus on themselves didn't evolve and get here. So we're wired to go, all right, we need to fix this problem or else we're out of history. We're out of the gene pool. So, but if you count, paradoxically, I suppose, if you can get yourself, and I think for fear also, social anxiety or depression, right? If you can just change the focus, go, what about other people? I think that kind of puts a spanner in the works, and you feel great when you help people, and the humans who didn't feel great when they helped people didn't survive, and it's just the way it is, the laws of nature. Isn't that right, Ramses? Yes. This is Ramses. It's true, yeah? Yes. Right. He doesn't speak English so well. He speaks Kemetese. So, um, hmm, uh, right. Okay. This must be a number 2. So, yeah. So, fear of rejection. 3. I think some people sometimes we feel like, oh, but who am I? That would be egotistical to think that I have something special to offer. Like, who am I to be so special that I have, some gift to give the world? Well, actually, so you're so non-special, like that you think everyone else can do it. You go, oh yeah, sure, yeah, you're a normal person. You could do something, yeah, but you um, but you're so non-special that you're the only person in the universe who can't do something amazing. You have to have mediocrity, otherwise that would be ego, and it's like, well, that's kind of a snake eating its own tail there, and you are the same. We all have different levels of talents of different things. I'm incredibly good at uh, dancing. Not really, but like we all have things we're better at and worse at. But everyone's got something, and deep down we're all the same. But I think it's the same light, so to speak, the same soul or spirit, life, energy, lifeness, self, shining through many different filters or objects. So your body and the emotional and mental systems connected to it, and all the DNA, the trauma of your ancestors or your life experiences and whatever, or morphogenetic fields like Rupert Sheldrake talks about, uh, how just these evolving systems of memory in families and in an individual's life, but also in families where I could do something and then my nephew, who's not even directly coming from my genetics, he will be able to resonate with that, and it'll be easier for him to do it. Um, I'm not sure if this is total locked in, proven yet, but I believe there's scientific evidence for the plausibility, at least, of this. But we can do these things where we all have something to offer, and maybe at the moment it's just something small. but then that can lead to something else, stepping stones, and who knows how long we're here anyway. So let's, have some fun and do something. Um, and who's to say really what's more important, bigger or smaller? Someone carries bags for an old lady, and meanwhile someone else signs a peace accord. Who's actually put in more effort there? Who's actually had to overcome more inner challenges in order to achieve the things? And what butterfly effects are they going to have? What are their intentions? There's so many things, um, but yeah, it's a bit similar to a poem comes to mind. Uh, this is more about the nature of human beings and being small and big at the same time. But I guess it also relates to the relativity of achievement. In some sense, of course, some things are bigger than others. A peace accord is worthy of greater celebration than carrying, your one's bags. But on another level, what I'm saying. But the poem, you want to hear the poem? All right, I'll tell you. It's called Enormously Small. Like the branch that cuts the moon in two, when curious eyes regard the roof of outdoor infinity, the starry ceiling, how big and small we end up feeling, to know we are nothing at this scale, and yet this knowing is bigger than the moon. There you go. Um, so, yes, I think this tall poppy syndrome, people, hey, don't you be getting notions and, you're doing this and who do you think you are? You think you're some sort of, you're better than me? And of course, there's arrogance and mockery is good, I think, a lot of the time for keeping people, from getting too big for their boots, because that obviously can be a problem. But, it needs to be balanced, like everything needs to be in the middle. Aristotle, I think, talked about virtue ethics. For every good quality, there are two vices. One of deficiency, not enough. One of excess, too much. So courage, good thing. Too little, it's called cowardice. Too much, recklessness. You're like, oh, I have a young baby, but I'm going to get involved in some dispute of someone else's here, and then I get killed. My baby has no father. Not the best idea. Or kindness, definitely a good thing. Not enough, meanness, bad thing, vice. Too much, well, spinelessness, and that's not good. Again, it's like the Ouroboros, right? If you're trying to be kind to everyone, you're kind to no one. Or if you think, well, I just want everyone to be happy, and then some monster comes along like, hey, can I have all your stuff? And can I have all of that guy's stuff? And whatever, obviously, right? Balance. So, yeah, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we do want to get ahead. No? So, what else? Anything else? Let me know in the comments below if you have other ideas of things that hold people back or propel us forward, or anything you want me to talk about. I believe there is one more thing. And if you think I'm pausing too long, just reflect that silence is golden, and every moment that you just marinate yourself, just let yourself soak up the silence, every interaction of your life will be improved in the future because you've aligned yourself a little bit more with lucidity and groundedness, with getting outside of your mind. So when I look like I'm startled and misty-eyed, have no idea where I'm going, I'm actually just acting and giving you an opportunity to develop your wisdom. So you're very welcome. and I guess so fear of failure, and also fear of success. So fear of failure, you know, it's connected to rejection, right? But also just in general, if you work at something and you fail at it, okay, that's not good because you didn't get what you wanted. However, it's also not good, as I think Jordan Peterson basically said something similar to this. It also calls into question your whole underlying structures of how you get things. So I tried to do this and it didn't work. So okay, I don't have the thing I wanted, but also the whole structure by which I'm getting achieving all my goals, that gets called into question a bit if you have too much failure. And so it can be scary, like, I don't know if I want to uh, play chess with that guy, because if I lose, then maybe I'm not going to be able to say to myself, man, I'm an ace at chess. We have to go down. Okay, I need to go back to the drawing board. And maybe I need to read some books about chess. And um, so there's fear of failure. Um, and I think it's good, though, once you can accept it and in balance, not take it too seriously, then it can kind of charge you up with energy and give you the necessary tension um, to, tune well the sitar string. Too tight and it snaps. Too loose and it will not play. Tune well the sitar string. It's a balance, And I think in the world, often between suffering and joy, there's a balance there. Now this is like a poetry podcast, but William Blake, a little bit of Auguries of Innocence, which is incredible. Um, it is right, it should be so. Man was made for joy and woe. And when this we rightly know, through the world we safely go. Joy and woe are woven fine, a clothing for the soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs a joy of silken twine. William Blake. What was he on? Incredible. Um, so, like the metaphor of like joy and woe creating a fabric for your soul to live in, this tension of this yeah constraint which provides us a certain path to walk down, or so fear of failure, but I think it's good to start with small things, and of course, you know it's probably, I don't know if you can get rid of fear of failure, but you can get rid of the fear of failure. Or if you can't get rid of that, you can get rid of the fear of the fear of the fear of failure, and so on and so forth. Just keep outflanking it. Accept it. I can't accept it. Okay, accept that you can't accept. Okay. Oh, I think I'm losing that too. All right, outflank it again. you know, rinse and repeat. Um, so now the fear of success. Uh, so I think we are so used to the familiar, and we are biased towards staying in the familiar, in the known, rather than going out into the unknown, the chaos, because it's promising, potentially good, but also threatening, potentially bad, and unexplored territory. So often there's a tendency for us to, well, it's working pretty well. Let's just kind of chill out and eat apples under the tree and just chill and enjoy the sunshine, soak up some rays, and then eventually the call of adventure appears, because something's threatening our world, or because maybe we get bored. So, but the fear of success, of if your life changes so much, um, are you ready for that? Like, are you ready for a cold shower? Although maybe it is similar, because cold showers are extremely pleasurable. I don't know if you, dear listener, you or watcher, you take cold showers, but definitely recommend it. What's great is turn on the cold, step into the shower, turn on the cold, and just do like a 360. Relax. The more relaxed you are, the less painful it is. Pain is a signal coming from your brain saying, "Hey, move your hand away from that thing," or whatever, right? And so there's a signal going, "Get the hell out of wherever you are. It's too cold. This is not ideal for the body." But if you can, with practice, you can, like Wim Hof talks about the Wim Hof method, the Iceman. Love that guy. Uh, you can control your mind's response, and strangely, oh, I'm not I'm not even shivering. That's weird. Oh, a lot of it's mental, and there's a program. The software goes bing, ding, ding, ding. All right, play the program where we get the hell out of here because it's too cold. But that automatic survival instinct, you can override that and go, no, we're cool. And you can set to override it. I don't do this anymore, but I started by saying that before I turned on the cold and during, in my mind going, yes, thank God for this cold. Oh, it's going to be so nice. This freezing water is going to be so good. I can't wait. It's going to be so good. Turn it on. So good, so good. And you're kind of hypnotizing or tricking yourself. But it's counterbalancing another, hypnotic thought stream, which is trying to make you flee the shower. So, and yeah, so you turn on the cold water and you breathe deeply and you relax and let the energy flow through you and turn around on the spot. Just get everything covered. The head, once everything's covered, then turn on the hot. Have a hot shower, cool, great. At the end, turn it on cold again. Just do it quickly, I believe it's good for your hair, good for your skin, good for your brain, good for your immune system, all these. It's good for, I think, your sense of humor. Apparently, they've proven 9 out of 10 monks who took cold showers became internationally best-selling comedians. They did a study in, I think it was the 1200s. So fear of success, no need. And then why? To do things. As we said, why not? We're here. I don't know. Sometimes people get nihilistic and say, what's the point of it all? That was me 10 years ago. I remember saying to my friend, Stephen Jarvis, shout out to Stephen, who put me onto the Joe Rogan podcast also like 10 years ago, which started my love of podcasts. I was saying, what's the point of life, And he said, I think, you just do what you like and, it's important to have goals and work on things and make progress, and it feels good, and you can have a good time. I was like, yeah, but why? Why work on these goals? Like, why feel good? What's the point? But I think the thing is, what would you rather? Win an argument or be happy? And I guess people might think, well, but if the happiness is an illusion, no, I want the truth, the bitter truth. But, well, just because you can't think of an argument to persuade you of something at a certain time, like, what's the point of trying to do anything? I have thought of arguments, and I believe there are many good arguments. Since then, I've thought of them or heard them from others. But even if someone doesn't, or any particular thing, you don't have an absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, right? Well, that doesn't quite apply, but you get the idea that there could be perfectly good reasons that totally destroy your argument, and you're just neither of you nor your interlocutor, conversation partner, neither of you know the reasons. So if you're getting anytime, here's a rule I have. Anytime my mind is being very persuasive and very, making some great logical points, but it leads to fear, sadness, anger, um, any kind of dis-ease or ill ease, as a rule, I don't believe it. I go, yeah, 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 sure, sure, mind. All right, mind. That's what I try to do. Uh, I do though, and even and with other people, it'd be a similar thing. If someone's got some bad vibes, I'll go, well, okay, you don't need to be in general. You don't need to be. There's a time and place for emotion and anger, and there's a reaction. But in general, if you're kind of angry all the time, or all right, what are you doing here? You don't need to be doing this. That said, you might have a good point. So okay, I'll keep my mind open that you might have a good point, and I'll try to filter it through and think about it. And so, if my mind is telling me you need to be afraid, or maybe there's a good reason, maybe I shouldn't go down that alley, or I should be feeling guilty. Maybe I didn't make some good choices, and maybe I'm not as virtuous as I like to think, and maybe I need to suffer a little bit just to kind of wear down a bit of ego, and then that'll open up space for something new. But so I do consider that maybe if my mind is telling me something which leads to a negative feeling, okay, maybe there's something to it. But I'm very skeptical because the mind just loves problems. Again, the humans who weren't obsessed with problem solving didn't survive history. So they got eaten by tigers, like, oh, what a beautiful day. You know, the others like, man, you guys smell tigers? Bro, you can't smell tiger. I can smell tigers, man. They're the people, the tiger smellers will inherit the earth, or they have. Um, so, yeah, but in general, uh, what feels good on a deep level, I mean, not just like pleasure, like getting what you want, but in general, peace, let's say peace, inner peace. If something's causing inner peace, it's very likely to be due to an alignment with reality. Your perceptions have lined up with the way things are, and an awareness of the laws of nature, like the serenity prayer. May I have the courage to change what I can, the serenity to accept what I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. So there you have it. Uh, so I guess what were we saying here? Uh, Podcast number one. I appreciate your tolerance. Very kind. Um, so the narcissistic people who, or nihilistic, I guess it's kind of similar, um, who would say, "What's the point of doing anything?" I think at a very basic level, okay, it's 50-50. Either this is meaningful, but you just don't know the reason yet, and maybe you'll never know the reason, or it's not meaningful, and maybe because of the reasons you think, or maybe because of other reasons you haven't even thought of and never will think of. But whatever, either way, you haven't got enough evidence. It's 50-50. So do you want to lean towards meaning or lean towards meaninglessness? And keep in mind, it's not just about you. It's not just about me. If we lean towards, life's fucked, whatever, who cares? That causes big problems in the world. A lot of people having that perspective allows them to let stuff go. Like, yeah, whatever, I'll accept some money from this drug gang, some policeman, taking money or whatever, or, people committing crimes or waging wars and all kinds of things that might not seem connected, but you're part of the collective psychology of humanity. We all are. And so I think starting just in your community maybe, but if everyone did the same thing as that and started to act more meaningfully and to say, hey, I don't have enough, maybe I don't know why I should do this, but I'm just going to follow love. Man, love's just a chemical in your brain, bro. They proved that like ages ago. Uh-huh. Really? Yeah, how does your romantic partner feel when you tell them that love is a chemical? It must really make them their soul come alive there. Um, and I'm sure you act that way to your children. Probably not, right? Like people often say one thing, maybe it fits in with their ideology, but then their actions speak louder than words, and that's more fundamental. Um, so you can see what people really believe by how they act, or more of what they believe. So yeah, that's it. Live from love, live from optimism, and live from whatever. Insert the in, fill in the blank. Only with good things though. Um, but yeah, and that's all relative. I could be urging someone here to they're like, oh, I've got a great idea. I'm gonna start a prison colony on Mars. No, Elon, no. um, but that's it. We all flow together, and we do things. Maybe some things are useful, some things aren't useful. Okay, it wasn't really useful, or even they're damaging. You know, um, but I think if we all just try to do our best and try to communicate clearly and try to laugh at ourselves as much as possible, then you know, I don't know. It's probably going to be better, right? So that's what I would tell myself 10 years ago. Just, there are reasons. Turn off your mind first. Learn to meditate. Experience 1 minute of pure silence, no thoughts, which is possible. It's hard. And that's not the main point of meditation, but um, it is possible to have no thoughts. Uh, Contrary to what, well, I mean, I've heard some people who, like, I think Jonathan Kabat-Zinn was saying it's impossible to, but I swear I have had that. And Eckhart Tolle will talk about that pure presence, which is so strong. But but the point of meditation, at the early stages, is just to quiet down your mind, and so you can relax and you can connect to healing energy and wisdom. Just have some more perspective on yourself, kind of see yourself, soi de toi-même, get outside yourself and see yourself. Sors de toi-même. Uh, and so I'm thinking. I need to stop thinking. Oh, that's a thought. And that's a thought. Oh, they're all thoughts. I can't stop thinking. Like, you just go, oh, thoughts. Or, oh, frustration about thoughts. Or, oh, fear about frustration, about anger, about fear of thoughts. Whatever. You go, okay, back to the breath. And then every time you do that, it's like a bicep curl. Um, so for your consciousness or your brain, where you're getting better at concentrating. And so that's it. You can have thoughts flying through, but you're kind of on the side of the river, just looking at all these boats, thought boats, dream boats, floating downstream, and then suddenly you're back. You're in the middle. You're on one of them, and you're like, oh yeah, wait a minute, I'm meant to be watching, and then bing, you're on the side of the river again, watching the boats. But with practice, yeah, you can, which is pretty mind blowing. I didn't realize that was possible until I first meditated. You can have no thoughts. It's not thought leads to thought leads to thought, and that's me. It's like, no, like the thoughts are like your loudmouth secretary, and you're the CEO who's just in some pearly white suit or, dress, whatever you want, frock, French Duke attire, legs up on the desk, and just chilling. Man, cool life. But then sometimes the CEO falls asleep, and the secretary's like, well, I got to take care of business. Then maybe the CEO starts to wake up, and the secretary's like, hey, I've been taking care of business, and I've kind of liked it. I've got my own pearly white suit. Let's put a little something in the CEO's drink, sedate him, or her. And what's he talking about? This is an elaborate metaphor for the self and the ego. The self and the ego, the consciousness and the thoughts. Let me know what you think about my elaborate analogy in the comments. Or don't. Send it telepathically through, So, yeah, my 20-year-old self, if I could go back in time, I would say, yeah, just meditate, learn to meditate properly, go 1 minute without any thoughts, and then you'll have earned the right to question a bit more. But if you can do that, you'll probably reach the point where you're like, oh, interesting how my problems disappear when I'm not thinking about them. Are they still out there and I'm just ignoring them? Or do they actually not exist outside of my skull? Maybe they're just situations which are good or bad for different people. And perhaps evolution has my brain highly strung, and the modern unhealthy environment we're in probably puts us in a stressed state. Electromagnetic pollution, the food, the madness in the food and the water supply and all this. Air pollution, propaganda pollution. Yeah. And then the second thing would be, okay, and even then, just when in doubt, what kind of a person, when it's 50-50, what kind of a person would not lean toward love and lean toward humility and lean toward trust? A blue-haired person. Just kidding. No, I love blue-haired people. I don't know too many, but my grand auntie, shout out to Mary Davitt, has blue hair. She's cool. But yeah. So all right. Well, Ramses, how are we doing for time? Oh, that's about an hour. Wow. I was thinking I'll do like 10.36 minutes. But all right. So I hope you've enjoyed this communion. I have enjoyed communing with the Logos and thoughts, and Ramses here. And cool. So, Rendezvous with Jamie McGlue. Good to be with you. I did see. I went without trying to put on an Irish accent the whole time. I'm very impressed. Very impressed. It was outstanding. But yeah. So this is just in case any relatives are listening. They can go, "Oh my God, no! I need to teach this man how to talk." All right. Peace and love, everybody.